Welcome back to tonight's Sad Reality, where I'm going to talk about something vaguely cyclical, kind of like this game. Cyclical just meaning like it's kind of like a cycle or something that repeats kind of infinitely, like me being stuck in the mid-game progression here and not ever breaking out of it. But tonight I'm going to talk about something that's kind of, chance called Sad Reality, but something that to me is probably the most unfortunate, I suppose. And that is the conversations we can't have. Uh, And this does largely apply to parents, but I also think it applies to some people that we know and we consider friends, but we don't consider that close to us. Like, they might understand us, but they might not really try as much to, I guess, know about us, if that makes sense, and then they don't really care by extension. And parents, it's not that they don't care, it's just sometimes it's hard to connect. And here's where I'm going with this, right? So, you're stuck in some situation, right? Some hypothetical situation, some very non-literal, nothing wrong is ever happening, because nothing ever bad would ever happen in your life, you know? And you're like, okay, I want to be honest with my parents, right? But also, do we really want to be honest with our parents? I mean, we understand that, like, consequences are a thing, you know? I mean, as scary as that can be, although I'm not really afraid of too much else. I feel like I've seen the worst of anything that could happen, or anything life could throw at me, at least from my parents anyways. But, so I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with this. It's 1 in the morning again. I actually didn't come with any notes this time, but this is something I felt really passionate about. The response they give may not be perfect, and I would say even the polar opposite direction. Sometimes it's completely, like, just not helpful at all. As if it's like, hey, I got fired, which I didn't, but, like, hypothetically, you know, you just cut your parents, be like, hey, I got fired today. The way I imagine they would respond is probably different than how they would actually respond, but there's probably some overlap or parallels between the two. For example, they would probably be like, okay, well, find another job, or you're gonna be moving out or something, which is the least supportive they could be, and that's what I imagine would happen. Or they could say, well, that sucks, what do you want to do, moving on, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, that's not really helpful, but that way they're asking for input, you know? And, there's a million different ways these things could go, right? But oftentimes, you don't want to risk having that conversation in the first place. Ironically, there are things that I bring up that I'm like, hey, I actually learned a little bit from this, you know, and I didn't think it would be productive in any way, but it was. So it's a good surprise there. And hopefully there's more of those in the future. But that's never a guarantee, you know? And, it's not that I don't think we should ever lie to people. I do think that sometimes some information is best kept to yourself, you know? And again, it's not really to anyone's benefit except your own in most cases. But for consideration in that regard, it's really the idea that, you know what a cognito hazard is? It's this idea of something that you think about it, and then it's, like, poisonous to think about. It's something like, you know about this now, and this is bad simply because you know about it. The whole, what was it, Roko's Basilisk, stuff like that. In the same way, it's like, okay, well, I had this conversation, this isn't going to end well, so why have that conversation to begin with? And that's kind of the epitome of this. Why have dumb conversations? Play dumb games, win dumb prizes. So why do that? Now, sort of my counter to that is, well, we should always keep trying, right? Nothing's ever perfect in life, but the moment we stop is the moment we kind of forfeit to the way that everything else works. You know? But also, I think there has to be some humility in learning and not making the same mistakes over and over again. The whole definition of insanity being doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So in this case, it's having the same conversations over and over, even if it means attacking it at different angles and expecting people with, you know, a heart of stone to somehow melt, right? It's not something that would come from you, it's something that would come from elsewhere. So, to me, that's probably one of the greatest tragedies out there, especially when it comes to parents and growing up as a general statement, is realizing that, hey, I don't necessarily have secrets, it's just things that I don't think I need to share it because it's not going to do anything good, you know? So, in that regards though, today was actually a really good day, like a break day from work. It's been good. I had a whole video too where I talked about people flaking, and I'm trying to get one guy to play Dungeon Defenders with and have someone else talk with them and just see what I can poke at, find some sad reality in the way things work, not just in my life, but someone else's. But people keep flaking, so maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, maybe not at all, we'll see. That's always funny too. So I was interviewing someone the other day, and I was thinking about work ethic and just this idea of, hey, how successful are you in your own personal endeavors? And does that have any impact on whether or not you'll be successful elsewhere, you know? To me, the most obvious answer is yes, it should have an impact, but not always. Like, I've always thought it was interesting that, take big influencers, for example. I'm sure you've heard dozens of stories of them, like, flaking on each other, but they're also super successful. You know, kind of by proxy of them being an influencer. It's like, oh, hey, you've made money just by putting your voice out on the internet. And, yeah, they don't show up for, like, basic things, and it's like, well, why is that? So in my head, I was trying to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Make all of this make sense. I guess sort of synthesize this into something that's like, if... I'm trying to think of like a logic equation now. It's like, if A and B, if A not B. But it's like, how do these two things compute together, you know? And I don't think there really is a pattern to it. It's like, I don't think they're necessarily correlated or overlapping. But I do wish people that were successful would also show up, and even people that weren't successful would show up anyways. You know, I think it's interesting that the people that... It's one thing to have money, it's one thing to be successful, it's another thing to have a good personality. And you can do both, it's just often one kind of corrodes the other. So it's like, let's best hope that doesn't happen, right? I think all that said, though, that's gonna probably be it for tonight's sad reality. I don't have too much else, but I was actually pretty happy with this sort of expression of thought in the past few nights. I think it's been going well. And I don't think the views have really reflected that, but hey, I'm totally fine with that. We'll see where this goes years from now. Maybe it'll be worth something. So, thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your nights, and I will see you in tomorrow's sad reality. Have a good one, y'all.